Now that Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is out in theaters, a lot of fans around the world have been very intrigued and curious about the future of the Star Wars franchise by Disney and Lucasfilm, especially when it all comes down to their new Star Wars universe, that they have over 10 years worth of Star Wars projects planned for the future of the franchise. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 is that we do know that this movie just crossed $1 billion at the box office, worldwide speaking, just yesterday, and obviously it's struggling big time at topping The Last Jedi's worldwide box office results. And this really led to a series of changes within the Star Wars franchise, within Disney Lucasfilm, on how they handle the franchise moving forward. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, that they were actually planning to reset the franchise in a sense by treating the franchise in a different way for the Star Wars community, and specifically in order as a way to really bring in different tones and to really focus on the franchise in a different sense. Now, everything that there is about Kathleen Kennedy, say what you will about her, but I will say that she really does need to be replaced, at least in 2021, when her contract is up. Hopefully she will leave, but one thing that is leaving the Star Wars franchise is, of course, the agendas that they have been using in many of their Star Wars films, and I've actually gone over this numerous times, so I won't talk about this in greater depth in this video, but there have been a lot of agendas that were used in these Star Wars movies. Now, on top of all of this, it's explained that both Disney and Lucasfilm are currently developing ways to handle the franchise differently for the fans around the world, and that they are trying to satisfy the Star Wars community that had issues with the sequel trilogy era. It's explained that both Disney and Lucasfilm are focused on over 10 years worth of Star Wars projects for the future, where it's explained that one of the big plans by Disney CEO Bob Iger is to stop using the Hollywood agendas in Star Wars as a franchise, and that Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy have gone over this massive change of not including politics and real-world agendas into the Star Wars universe, and to focus mainly on the story and the plots strictly. It said that Kathleen Kennedy will no longer be involved with creative decisions for the new Star Wars films and TV shows, and that even though she will still be involved with the planning of the roadmap of Star Wars projects to come, she has come to an agreement with Disney's Bob Iger to stop the Hollywood agenda in Star Wars movies, after seeing the Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker film itself was struggling at the box office to top The Last Jedi's numbers, worldwide speaking. Now, the plan to stop the agendas in Star Wars will create a different tone and a better focus for Disney and Lucasfilm to develop their new Star Wars universe the best way that they can, and that Disney CEO Bob Iger and even Kathleen Kennedy have been looking for a potential replacement for President of Lucasfilm, which could suggest that she will be leaving sometime in 2021 if she decides to do so. If not, she will be contracted for a number of years, however, still will not be involved in a creative choice. Now, on top of all this, Disney CEO Bob Iger is looking at potential replacements for Kathleen Kennedy. He's looking at, people like Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and others out there that could serve as a president of Lucasfilm that could handle both the creative and business end of Star Wars. Now, this really is a big deal. The fact that they're trying to get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, and the fact that now Kathleen Kennedy has agreed to no longer use the Hollywood agendas in Star Wars as a franchise really tells us that Disney and Lucasfilm are trying to make things right with the Star Wars fans. They really are. And I think that money talks at the end of the day. You know that common saying, right? Money talks, and it does. Especially with Hollywood, because when you see how they bought Lucasfilm for, a lot of money, let's just say, they really got a lot of money out of this thing, and George Lucas got a lot of money out of it as well, because of what they did with these movies and how much money they made off of these movies and what George Lucas made by selling it to Disney. It really tells us that now they realize that they can do so much more with the Star Wars franchise if they just satisfy everybody. Obviously, a lot of fans had problems with the sequel trilogy. You can only imagine how successful the sequel trilogy would have been if they really fine-tuned it to a point where it could have been more respectful to the Skywalker lineage, and especially to the character like Luke and more, and if they did something different to it in that sense. Now, Kathleen Kennedy, like I say, there have been films that were successful. There's no denying that. Rogue One was a good Star Wars film. The Force Awakens was decent, in my opinion. But aside from that, there's been a lot of inconsistencies within Star Wars, as far as production goes. Kathleen Kennedy has fired so many creatives. She has replaced so many creatives. She's gone through so many reshoots that cost a lot of money. You know, Solo: A Star Wars Story, it's one of the main reasons as to why it was a box office flop, is because they did not market it correctly. It came right after The Last Jedi Backlash, and they reshot 80% of the movie, which cost millions upon millions of dollars. So you can see that Kathleen Kennedy is incompetent for Star Wars, and she does need to be replaced. Even she herself said that she's not quite sure if she's staying, and she will be able to know, you know, whether or not she's staying sometime in 2021. So anyways, guys, with that being said, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.